let me say to those of you who actually watched my previous presentations, thank you. It seems there were about 30 or odd who watched at least one of my former presentations. And thank you, thank you. Please pass this stuff on to your friends. Please get more people to watch what I'm presenting here. What I want to start with in this presentation, I want to start with some questions around the interlocking of prediction with personal desire. First question, is an estimate of possible future technology an incorrect or invalid input into the computation of likely future events? And the next question, is my personal desire an incorrect or invalid input into the computation of likely future events? Now, to take a look at these questions and maybe come with some sort of answer, if we look at ordinary events, how do my desires interlock with these events? Well, I can buy things that I have a desire to buy. Apparently, other people have similar desires. One, for example, where I live, I can predict that there will be bread in shops tomorrow. And that seems to be because of the desires of other people. One South African baker with bakeries in a dozen cities and towns bakes a variant that I usually desire to buy. Now, if I go into one of the two nearby outlets of a national chain of supermarkets, it is a good prediction that I will find that variant on the shelf. First of all, it's technically possible. My past enjoyment of, well, if you think about the fact that it's technically possible, obviously, if it weren't technically possible to produce that bread, then yes, it would be a bad prediction that I'm going to find it. But now, given that it is technically possible, and I've certainly found that I've had past enjoyment of this variant of bread, so that feeds into my desire, and apparently it's not that unique. My desire and the desires of others seem to match up. And so those two things, the technical possibility of manufacturing that particular variant and the desires of a number of people, not just myself, but desires that match my own, actually give us a good prediction that I'll find that variant of bread on the shelves of one of the two supermarkets that I can go to. Now, that is bread. And some people don't like to eat bread. Some wouldn't like to eat the variant that I like. So, what's that relevant to? Okay, what it's relevant to is this next question. What is the most basic desire found in most living people? Now, that's a question, this question that I've just asked seems to have an obvious answer. But I would like to know, if you think that the obvious answer is wrong, I'd like for you to let me know. The obvious answer is that we people who are alive have a desire to stay alive. Apparently, this idea of living really long, the idea of immortality, has been a part of tradition in Middle Eastern religions, further east in India, and even further east in China, and that from somewhere around the 3rd century of the Common Era. And at a guess, the idea is a lot older than the earliest traditions, which seem to indicate some interest in the idea of immortality. And when I'm saying earliest traditions indicating that interest in the idea of immortality, what I'm thinking of is the pyramids in Egypt and the pyramids in Brazil. And those are from a whole number of centuries before the Common Era. So that goes back even further than what I was mentioning. And now, if this is my question to you, if you could have a healthy body and live forever, and when I say that, I mean live forever, but without giving up the right to die if you should change your mind about that, if you could get that, would you take it? Now, as I leave you to think about that question for yourself, what I'm going to mention now is that we observe that some people follow the prescriptions of religions. They follow the prescriptions of religions which promise immortality. Now, if there is inside those people, there is an internal desire in these people to live forever, that would explain this observed following of religious prescriptions. So, I'm saying some evidence supports the idea that people have an internal desire to live forever. And there does not seem to be much evidence which contradicts that conclusion, that people have that internal desire. Now, if you have evidence to indicate that a large number of people actually do not want to live forever, please let me know. So, let's take that, without knowing exactly what your response will be, let's take that as agreement that almost everyone alive wants to live forever, or at least somewhere close to forever. Combine that with what you can research for yourself, with what you can find out without my help, and what I mean by that is you can find out without my help that science can confirm that the technology to allow you to live indefinitely is scientifically possible. And notice there I've switched to a different word. I said forever a few times before, and I've switched to the use of the word indefinitely for an important reason. Indefinitely, I did look it up just to check. One of the possible meanings is without fixed limit. And when I'm saying indefinitely, I'd like to actually just quickly digress into a little thing about indefinitely, in the sense in which I mean it in this case. I would estimate that at some point, supposing a person really did live ridiculously long, let's pick a really ridiculous number like, 100 billion years, right? If you take from a person living 100 years, the chance that that person is going to die in a collision might be pretty close to zero. A person who's going to live about 100 years, chance that they actually die in a collision, that probability might be close to zero. But with that other staggering number, 100 billion years, the statistical probability that that person will be squashed completely in a collision or obliterated in a collision, I think it'd probably be pretty close to 1. Therefore, that probably gives at least a statistical limit to how long a person could possibly live. Now, I'll come back from that digression and give you something that I think is really important. This, I'm saying to you, is the correct prediction. Of course, I'm not saying you have to just accept it. I'm saying this is the correct prediction. If you've got some argument with it, please let me know. I can go through the steps that I've thought through already. We can explore anything that I might not have thought about yet. But this is the correct prediction. The panacea will be developed. I'm just going to say it again. The panacea will be developed. And what happens after that? Well, 2 important things happen. Now, to understand what these 2 things are, we need to understand that the brain, the container of our inner selves, can be physically destroyed in such a way that no panacea can restore it. So, and when I said that, I basically was referring to anything that blows the brain to smithereens or squashes the brain completely or something like that. It could actually destroy it. And, I think you can pretty much understand that's not a medical emergency. That is not something that we can look to medicine to fix up. So, disease is one division of the causes of death. The other 2 useful divisions of causes of death are accident and murder. Now, I'm choosing for a reason to divide causes of death into these 3 parts. It's really convenient, and it's not invalid. It doesn't leave out some 4th thing that doesn't fall into any of those 3 headings. So it completely divides up the causes of death, and it's a convenient way. Now, if you would divide up the causes of death in some other way, let me know. I mean, if I've made a mistake, please let me know. But I'm going to go, not having your side of the argument. We're going to go with disease, accidents, and murder. Now, disease, nanotech is going to take care of that. I mentioned there will be a panacea. Nanotech will take care of it. Of course, that doesn't mean that it's going to take care of it for you. If you're hoping it's going to take care of it for you, then please help me pass on the message that it's going to happen anyway. And if we hurry it up, you might get it. You know, the more people know about this idea of the panacea being developed, the more people know, the more chance you get to get that panacea. Okay, second cause of death, accidents. Now, I have some idea about accidents, and I will present those ideas in some videos. I just don't want to get onto that next. What I want to get onto next, in my next video, because I'm nearing the end of this video, what I want to get onto next in my next video is the third cause of death, murder. I want to focus on murder and how people will want to reduce their odds of being murdered. I want to focus on that next, and I plan to make that the topic of my next presentation and probably a number of presentations after that, because something important follows from what you would want to do about your odds of being murdered if you had the panacea. Right, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you. I'd really appreciate it if you pass this on to a lot of people. Get people watching my presentations. Please, please.